actually, when you uncurl the hair, it's actually more like 6 inches. Yeah. It becomes very average. Hello and welcome to episode 91 of the Green Outdoors podcast. My name's Kyle.
I'm AJ.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ryan.
Ryan's not here today, but Jeff
I think I nailed him.
That was good.
Jeff did Ryan's voice. Yeah, because he has longer hair like,
I'm sorry,
like a girl.
I didn't do the hair flip when I did it. Sorry.
I'll impose a little floating head on his screen.
That's
not
You can
recording.
put that little fish that he put in that one episode.
We just released the Paddlefish episode on Carbon TV, and by the time you're listening to this, it's probably on Clicks TV, but you can go check that out. It is Paddlefish in Oklahoma, fishing with Brian Baker, and AJ and Ryan both starred in that one, catching their very first paddlefish.
True dat.
True dat. Ryan had a man bun going on in the episode, so the voice you did might be fitting.
I was not present for that episode, and I didn't recognize Brian at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight.
The last time, no, not even that. The last time we went out with him, he had facial hair and everything. I had no idea what the shape of his face was.
Did he really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can only
not like Phil Green style.
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like it was very aggressively this.
Yeah.
Whatever this is. And
it
showed him, and he was talking, and it was like a weird out-of-body experience where it's if someone else was talking, but your voice was coming out of their mouth. It's like, oh my God, that's him?
And he lost some weight too.
Yeah.
It would have been fun for me. It was all hair weight. But
Must have been.
It would have been fun for me if I would have grown out the beard like that. So then we just played swapsies. So maybe next time I'll
figure something
Which
out.
is a real shame because you had 4 or 5 inches going coming off your face, and right before the episode you got rid of it.
when you
shame.
when you uncurl the hair, it's actually more like 6 inches. It becomes very average.
Straighten it.
AJ, what did you think of? That wasn't obviously the first time you've ever been in an episode because you found that chucker.
Right.
But how did it feel to kind of be on the camera as opposed to behind it?
I definitely prefer to be behind it.
What is that about you? Because we try and rope you into stuff all the time. Like, what is it?
Because I know what's good on screen, and I don't think I can bring it to the table.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you will tell me, you'll be like, Kyle, you sound like an idiot, or Kyle, this looks bad, or nope. Jeff will start saying something, and AJ will be like, nope.
I appreciate it, but also
it's hurtful.
Want you to keep your opinions to yourself. In the moment, I want none of that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why.
It's actually
couldn't tell you why.
It's actually funny because you can't offend Jeff ever, except for in 2 circumstances: if he's almost drowning, or if
you tell him his hat's stupid. Well, you can get bent.
I just got it.
I love his hat.
when we're filming, I think it's because we take a gang approach when he messes up, and he's not.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, we all do that to everyone. So
I know, but when the camera's on and we do it to you, I mean, this is an intervention. The whole point of this podcast, we're not even recording. These are cameras, are fakes.
Ryan was too uncomfortable. He couldn't be here for this.
He's gonna come in with your family.
Oh God.
Not your mom, but the
What's
family.
left?
Yeah, the family. See, that doesn't register. But no, she's here in spirit. So what is it though that you get like so deeply? You get bothered by it.
I don't know, because I think once I'm
giving it my all.
Give an example. Hold on. Give an example.
You're more natural. I more have to like work myself up to it. I'm trying to think of funny things to say. I'm trying to, I'm not quite so. You can just say, and it just happens for you. For me, I got to think about stuff more. So I'm already in this mindset where, okay, this is how I'm doing it. This is what I'm gonna do. If you're like, hey, do it different this way, it's like, well.
Guy, I just got this page filled out.
Well, now I got to start over.
But the funniest thing is your best points. Like, I was talking today about about filming and like the different episodes and like what we're doing because we're supposed to be going to South Dakota. It's going to be delayed. And I was talking about the fact of I was worried that you might not be there now. I was talking to Abby about it at lunch. And then I was like, when you look at, she's like, well, will it be okay? I'm like, well, when you look at it, like when you look at noodling for giant catfish, yeah, it's cool, but it's so funny because you're there.
Mm-hmm.
But all the stuff you say, half the time we got to make sure you were mic'd because that's your funniest moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Is the spur of the moment stuff.
Yeah. Well, and they don't always really see that on the episode. It's more behind the scenes. But when we go somewhere, we're already joking. We're already doing all the stuff we normally do. Anytime we go out where you guys go out where I'm not there, you're still building rapport with if there's a guide or if there's a DNR officer we're talking to, and you can't necessarily open with some of the dirty jokes we do off camera before we start to like loosen things up, you know. So it like there's jokes, but you're still getting to that point. Maybe if we were to go and do another episode where
like when AJ walked up to the people we don't know and said, "Hey, are you guys on Grindr?"
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
It's not
the best joke.
it is.
I would say that I'm trying to think of an example, but like an episode where you've gone where I couldn't go, where we've already worked with these people before, so you already have that. I would assume that would be better.
Brian, this is this episode is
Perfect example.
It was better, but you're still the funniest person on the planet. So I think too is like maybe we have to play to strengths better, where it's like if it's like the information or like specifics, it's a little bit easier for me to have that conversation. Whereas, you know, you're like our circus clown side freak that comes in on the side.
Comic relief.
Yeah.
Live on the caboose of a train.
No. That's me actually joking. But he is the funniest person on the planet. So you just have to, I guess we just have to play to that. But yeah, AJ, it is a powerful thing that you know what looks good on camera. But I think the talk that we had when we're holding the paddlefish, I think you did bring it. I think you did do good.
And I need some help then.
I will say there's been a lot of times because, you know, again, we joke a lot off camera. There's been a lot of things that are said that you think about it after the fact, and it's like, that one really funny thing that that was AJ that said that's not going to be in there. Or like,
right.
Just cool things you do off in the background that it's like I wish we could. I mean, that's kind of part of this, but like I wish we could show that more because that's really neat.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny. So my friend Cam, we were talking today, and he's like,
Who?
Yeah, I have other friends you don't even know about. Like, I hang out with these people, play pickleball. You don't even know. Anyhow, so my friend, I
think I'm okay. I'm good.
Pickleball is so fun. Have you ever played pickleball?
No, I don't spend a lot of time in the retirement. So
I am built for a retirement home. Like the activities they do, pickleball, jazzercise, the swimming in the pool.
I was just gonna say the swimming one.
You know what's really good? You wake up in the morning. It's, sunrise is just coming up. You get your Metamucil.
I knew it was coming.
My Musil.
And your bowl of Total. Oh, God, so good. What a great way to start the day.
Special K.
What's
I'm not
yogurt?
trash.
What's the yogurt that Jamie Lee Curtis said does?
No, not Dan.
Danimals?
Activia.
Yes, that's the one.
Activia.
Yeah. Then later in the day you get a call from the grandkids.
End the night with a little bit of prune juice, just for the buzz.
And
head in at a reasonable 4 p.m.
It's tough for me to work up an appetite by lunch, so I normally just have an Ensure. You know, every old person, they just stop eating lunch. You ever notice that? Yeah. Lunch is the first thing to go for them.
Yeah. And they're having dinner by 3 p.m.
That's true. That's fair.
You got to have breakfast because that's the most important meal of the day.
Okay. We got, this is for sure ADD us right here. So my friend Cam, he was talking to me today.
Oh, yeah.
And he runs a company out of North Carolina where he does all kinds of videos, specialty videos for companies. So he works with, a lot of road construction companies, just random companies to make video content for them, for their socials, websites, things like that. Oh. But he's really, really talented, really, really good. His quality's awesome. And he said that he'd be interested in going with us and filming the behind-the-scenes stuff, which we've talked about before, is like once we hit that really big deal on a huge network or something like that, we could have like the behind-the-scenes of like the creation of our show, because it really is the funniest part. And for the audience that appreciates our show and watches it every week, I think they'll dig that. Plus, he'd be really good at it. So it's just something to put in your craw. That's it, right?
I've never heard it.
I've never heard it. Just today.
You just made it up.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Okay. Another topic that I wanted to cover. This is actually like the first topic, I guess I should say, because so far we've done.
Let's go ahead and get started. It's episode 91.
We were on the boat on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday fishing. I fished literally the entire weekend. We caught all kinds of bass and everything like that. It was awesome.
That's really cool. I had no idea.
Something that is fair. That is fair. It was,
I was busy.
yeah, I know. I
had no
did
idea.
so many things, with all my other friends and.
I was busy hanging out with Cam.
No, Cam didn't fish. He would though, because he'll do anything for me because he's a great friend.
So you before we move on, you play pickleball with him?
Him and I play pickleball because Rachel decides we play pickleball.
But he runs.
Rachel's his wife.
But he runs a business in North Carolina.
He flies in to see me weekly.
Oh, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
No, so
we're on a pickleball league.
I guess we'll be specific now.
Every Tuesday.
So Rachel lives on Lake Shannon, and her husband, or she doesn't.
Docs everyone.
She grew up on. What did you say?
Docs. Go ahead and docs everyone. That's great.
Docs. Oh yeah, and her address is.
Start sending them pizzas.
She's also a teacher, and so she grew up on Lake Shannon. She's friends with Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
She moved to North Carolina with her husband Cam, and then they come here and stay for stints because Cam owns his own business and Rachel's a teacher, so summer vacation. So they've been here for a while.
Gotcha.
We've been playing pickleball, and you haven't been invited yet. Actually, that's not true. They've actually invited you 2 times. I didn't tell
Took it
you
upon yourself.
to edit the invite to say not him. No, it was just both days. There's things you would have been doing.
They were actually written invitations. I don't know if you got them in the mail.
Yeah, they're coming. You'd probably just COVID, and ironically they did get COVID. Cam got COVID.
My next door neighbor
Oh, yeah.
keeps complaining that he's getting mail for someone named Jerf. I don't know. Just been throwing it away.
Instead of Jeff.
I love it.
Getting back to it. So I thought that would be cool to film that and just get that behind the scenes perspective because it is it's our best skits. And with
Comes
this,
with parental advisory logo.
we were out fishing.
We'll need to edit some of that.
And while we were out fishing, I looked at the carpet. We were fishing at night, and it got dark. And I look at the carpet where the click lights on our tracker boat are, and there is 10,000 of those little ant bugs things with wings, and they're all pressed up against that light, and they're all sitting there just light bathing, and it looked like the carpet was moving. It was disgusting, and they were all just dying. I don't know why they all died, but they all just died right there.
They clump up into little balls and they actually overheat.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's what it is?
Yeah. Bees do that. When something goes into their hive or whatever, they'll attack them and they'll get a big ball and they call it a murder ball, and it's several of the bees on the inside will die because of the heat that they generate, and they'll do that with if a hornet or something gets in there.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I saw in the movie Ants.
Don't
but
they do something like that to hornets? They get their wings going so much that it kills them somehow? Explain that.
Well, they all get in a big
No, explain it.
ball
Yeah.
on top of them, covering them, and they're very sensitive apparently to heat and the heat they generate by all getting close together. I don't know if their wings are
something with the wings, I
vibrating
thought,
has
yeah.
something to do with it. Could be.
Yeah.
I just know that they murder ball intruders in
Nice.
their hives.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I did not know that.
Oh, now you know.
I'll continue, but I just wanted to. We were getting at 14 and everything.
Don't ever get the last word in again.
Ever again.
If you see me pausing, just stop.
just stop. I pause. You pause.
Anyhow, we see them all clumped up around the lights, and I'm like, why is this happening? And then that took me down a long road of wondering why all animals do weird things with light. Driving down in a car at night on the road, and a deer in the headlights will freeze, right? So why does that happen? And I guess so. To go through it, I figured out that the bugs is where I wanted to start. Is why bugs do it. So I'm gonna go through some of these. I'm gonna read a couple of these things, but the truth is they have no idea why. They only have hypothesis on why bugs actually flock to light. So if you're at night, turn on a light, bugs are going to be all over it, and people talk about why. So one of the most popular theories is that bugs rely on light sources to guide their travels and movements. So what happens is they see a light, so they're like, oh, there's nothing in between me and that light. So I'm going to fly directly to it because nothing is blocking me. So there's no predators or nothing I could bump into.
Oh, okay.
But when I say that, my brain goes off yeah, but if they all come out at night, what do they care whether they're going to get bumped into stuff or not. Why you coming out night then? Why are you doing that?
I've seen flies bump into a window, the same spot over and over and over and over again, and they don't mind that.
What movie was it that we went and saw? I threw up in the theater. But what movie was it that we went and saw? It was a scary movie where that person and is it Cloverfield? The one where all the plants are killing everybody. And then
that's The Happening.
The Happening.
With Mark Wahlberg.
Mark.
And he does that scene where he gets up to the plant. He's like, "Hey, I'm very sorry for interrupting you. I hope just please don't kill me."
No one can hear you as it is.
Oh, this is a fake plant.
Oh,
that's in the movie.
Yeah.
I was talking about the part where he walks up and that lady slams her head against it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like that's what the bee reminded me of.
That's M. Night Shyamalan.
That sounds right.
What did you think of The Village?
I haven't seen it since it first came out, and I remember not liking it, but that was the thing to do, so I haven't gone back since.
I remember having a deep appreciation for it. Totally got me.
A lot of people do.
It got me. You can't watch it twice. There's no point. I mean, you could now.
The first time you see it, it's got that surprise factor, but you're kind of expecting it from an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Right.
But I would say that several of the actors definitely carried it. Like you got William Hurt, you got Bryce
Howard,
Dallas.
She's in that?
Yeah, I think so. She was the blind.
Oh, that's awesome.
The daughter, I think.
Yeah.
But several good actors in that movie. But I don't. If you put the wrong actors in it, I could see it just being.
Which is Yeah, the thing to do was to hate on it back in the day. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to the insect part. So insects like moths and just different insects and bugs like that are attracted to light in general, whereas bugs like cockroaches try and get away from light. So there is something to that. But again, they think they're using it as like a guiding tool to get there, and then when they get there, they're confused because the light comes out in every direction. They either think it's the moon or the sun, but because the light isn't coming from one direction, it confuses them. So once they get close to the light, the beams are going in every direction, and they can't get a fix on what that is. And they said that they believe that they actually show signs of frustration. And that's like they're frustrated.
I can imagine that would be pretty frustrating.
Yeah. So
why can't I get to this thing?
So that's interesting. What this article says is, unfortunately, when they come across artificial light, insects can become confused easily. They may mistake the light fixture for the sun or the moon. Rather than keeping a natural light source as a guide, these insects instead try to keep the artificial light at a constant angle, which can't be done because it's pushed in every direction versus coming from the sun. So scientists have come up with many other ideas that might explain insects, like light-loving behavior. For example, some believe man-made lights merely light a clear path, which I had mentioned, and rather than flying around in the dark trying to avoid things, they just use that light as the path. Other scientists believe some insects may mistake artificial lights for flowers. Now, flowers give off UV light, obviously with the reflection. So they may mistake them for flowers, and they're just trying to land on them. I don't think that's the...
I guess in the dark, if that's the only thing you see, you're like, wow, that flower looks great.
Right.
That is one sexy-looking flower. I mean, look how bright it is.
I'll go.
It's kind of
so hot.
It kind of reminds me of like the lures for fishing, where they have like the glow-in-the-dark lures, and they work, but it's like, why? Like
they do work.
Yeah, and they haven't seen something glow in the dark ever. You know what I mean? But
that's true.
That reminds me of.
You're gonna tell the frog story.
Yep, we went to this lake and caught like 30, 40 of these real little frogs right down by the lake. We're like, these will be perfect for using for bait. And you put a little hook in them, throw them out in the water, and we get them all, and we go back to get the fishing, the rods and whatever, and we go in first. We have food. We come back out, and my dad had dumped the bucket and let all the frogs go. And I go, why would you do that? He goes, well, you had all these little frogs in here. They're just mind their own business. You can't just. I figure you being kids, you just forget it. They're there, and then So I just dumped them out. So we're going to use them for fishing. He goes, fish wouldn't know what to do with that. Do they see frogs? All the fish aren't or frogs aren't swimming out into the middle of the lake, so you're not going to see a frog. I go, that you could say the same thing about worms.
Right.
They don't see earthworms, but they go to town on earthworms. So
and they'll eat spit. So what are we talking about?
And we had caught one real big, I don't know if it was a frog or a toad. I was like, well, whatever, we're not going to fish now. So I threw it out in the water, and it barely hit the water, and a fish already went.
Yeah.
Like-
Where was Scott?
You tell a frog story.
What an idiot. I knew it was coming. That's like one of his, he's got 7 that go-tos.
Oh, he's got a lot.
Not it.
Yeah.
55% of all.
It's 60%.
White males over the age of 55.
It's
Oh, it's
60%.
55.
You got it wrong.
could've
I'm
kept
sorry.
going.
No, you know, why don't you go ahead and tell
I
it?
could have told this frog story verbatim. But so anyhow, moving on from the bugs, one more thing on them though is that another theory is that a lot of the predatory bugs move into the lights because they know all the other bugs do, so they go in there just for the sake of grabbing things.
Okay.
I could understand spiders setting up webs around. You know, there's always
That
seems
would
to be
be
spider
smart.
webs around
they
lights
do.
and things like that. But start giving them a lot of credit for thinking. You know. I don't know. I also wonder if the heat of the light has anything to do with it. Probably
Could
not.
be.
Though. Could be. But why would that bring
light,
them from a distance?
Light is
though?
usually a source of potential heat.
And they're
so-
not thinking.
And when it's dark, it's usually colder, so they're looking for heat.
So the next thing that led me in my search of understanding light and why animals do what they do, I think we're all allergic to Jeff. It's fine.
It's all good.
Did you get another cat? Ryan did. Ryan's got cats in his house now.
I haven't
He's
had
got
a
a cat house.
Yeah.
He's trying to, and he's already a cat person that tries to sell you on the fact that his house doesn't smell like a cat house though. It's like,
And they're cool cats.
yeah,
and-
yeah. I normally don't like cats, but this cat, everybody says that. I'm so tired of it. They're
I-
not good pets.
While I was still living with my parents, they had 2 cats, and I would probably say the same thing about not one of them. One of the cats was a little jerk, but one of the cats was pretty cool.
Who, Fingers?
No, Duke.
Oh,
Yeah. Duke was like a dog. He would just follow you around.
I saw Duke Shart.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was like his thing. I'm not
He
kidding.
got old. He-
Yeah,
Oh my
he
God.
was. So the next thing was deer. Is obviously that's another thing that you always see. Why is it that when a deer stops in the headlights, they freeze? Like whenever, you know, when you're hunting at night and you're spotlighting. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That's illegal. Don't do that. But why do they do that? And they freeze. So I did some research in understanding how the eyesight works. So I didn't know this, but there's a difference between cones and rods in how you see.
Yep.
So humans have a lot more cones, which makes it so that we're able to see a lot more in lighted situations. And at night, we're not able to see as well. Deer have a lot more rods in their eye. And because they have so many more rods, they're able to see really, really well in low light and even at night. Now, that's how they process light. So what happens is when you're hitting them with the headlights, it's like their eyes are completely blown out, overexposed, and they're waiting for them to adjust.
Oh, they can't see anything.
No, they're just waiting for them to adjust. So they're freezing until they can see again.
Yeah.
And then that's why they actually freeze in the lights. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it also kind of makes sense because anytime a deer sees something it doesn't know what it is, it just
Yeah.
and it'll sit and stare at it. And then I bet if you weren't driving, if you just stopped and had your headlights on them, eventually they would do the pick up a foot and put it down,
Oh, yeah.
you know, or the
Yeah, that's my thing.
they're trying to catch you moving.
Give them
I
the
tried to do
brat.
I tried to do the noise the other day.
You got to do it with your nose, but I'm just worried.
Because you are.
Yeah, it's you don't want to schnoz.
Yeah.
But yeah, the grunt that they make is something else. But moving on to the next thing. So then I was like, okay, what's another thing that reacts to light that I like to know about? And people in some states, it's legally allowed to go out and hunt for frogs using lights. And if you shine a light on a frog, they'll freeze, and you reach around back behind them and grab them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how that's how a lot of people go
I
frog
didn't- I didn't
gigging,
know that.
and they use the lights
Gigging.
gigging. Yeah, and then that's what
Oh, gee.
I think it's illegal in Michigan. I think it's illegal to use light. I could be wrong. It was illegal
It is
at
illegal
some
to
point where
use
we're
light, but you can, I believe, gig for them.
yeah, but I'm talking about light. The whole story, the podcast name, everything's light, light.
Yeah, but you said gigging, and you said I believe it's illegal in Michigan, so I was just clarifying that you
Yeah,
can. Gig,
so
you
with
just can't
lights.
use light. Though.
Because we're talking about light.
Yeah.
So
Follow the light.
in trying to understand that, nobody had an answer for that.
Yeah.
I have to assume it's probably similar to the deer, considering they obviously pretty active at night in general. So it's probably something to do with that. But beyond that, also I remember as a kid, I had frogs I raised from tadpoles, and my dad told me that the gold around their eyes was real 14 or no, 28 karat gold. And
Handle
now that I
this
remember,
As
filthy.
soon as you said, my
Yeah.
dad told me, I'm like, that's a dirty, dirty lie.
and then I was like, well, how much are the frogs worth then? He's like, you'd have to get a lot of frog eyes for it to be worthwhile. And I remember thinking about it, and I was like, nah, I don't want to kill a bunch of
It's like,
frogs.
and I killed so many frogs.
Is this what you wanted? Am I helping with the bills? No, just
My parents eventually found a big bag of frog eyes that had gone bad in the basement.
Oh my gosh.
Turns out it wasn't gold, no matter how heavy that bag was.
Phil needs a book of all his little pranks.
Yeah,
that
I
that
know.
he tells kids.
Remember when he convinced us he ate that bug? He told me when I was a kid, I probably talked about this in a podcast at some point, because my dad was all hairy, but I wasn't. So I was confused by that. I'm like, man, you look like you got a sweater on when we're getting in the pool. He told me that we were part grizzly bear, that like
right.
our great-great-great-great-grandfather was a grizzly bear who mated with a woman. And I went to school, told everybody that would listen,
my
the teacher.
gosh.
No one corrected me.
You know who
they let me
wasn't-
go on.
Who wasn't part grizzly bear? The mailman.
Oh. At least my mom had options, so. What? She's a sweet lady.
Phil's got way too many bits.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
He
bits.
does.
My whole life was nothing but
It
bits.
sounds like it.
He convinced us in the sandbox that he ate that cricket. Remember?
I don't. There were so many of them.
Yeah, I know.
There seems to be a lot.
Yeah, he messed with it. We believed everything. That's what sucks. I really wish we could like go back in time and be like, you know what, say this to him. He's gonna tell you this today, and I want you to say, go.
Your dad's a dirty liar. I'll tell you.
I'm here to tell you from the future.
Trust isn't built in a day. It's built over time. The early hours and the late nights. It's built by doing the work and pushing the limits every day. Because the promises we make are the promises we were built to keep.
The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the third year in a row. And by Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. And by these other fine sponsors. If you'd like to help support the Greenway Outdoors, please like and comment on this podcast and subscribe to all of our channels.
So back to the frog thing, though. I was curious about why they freeze up in the lights. And I did a bunch of... That led me down a completely different path. Two paths. One...
Was it on Wikipedia?
No.
Oh.
I'm
That's
not
usually where I go, and then I end up... All of a sudden, I'm looking at something wildly different.
looking at two dudes. This guy, how'd I get here again?
again.
Dang it. I was... I ended up on two paths. Path one was, I said, why do they freeze in lights? And then that took to, why do frogs freeze at night or in hibernation? So I'll get into that in a minute. But the other one was how they call it light pollution is affecting amphibians. So there was all these experiments done, and I won't read them all to you, but there was all these experiments that they're doing right now out of like reputable universities that they think amphibians are being negatively impacted by light pollution. And light pollution is just simply having lights on, and the fact that human beings are expanding, especially around water, and adding a bunch of lights and street lights and things like that, that it's actually changing the habits of the frogs. What they were finding is they were like subjecting frogs to like 12 hours of light, 12 hours without light, frogs with light for 20 hours instead of 4. They did it with all different types of amphibians. And what they were finding was that they weren't releasing, what's the thing that I take before bed sometimes? It gives me bad dreams, though, so I don't take it no more. It helps people sleep. Melatonin.
Melatonin.
Thank you.
There it is.
So the melatonin in the like when they're exposed to so much with light, a lot of it, even artificial, they won't produce as much melatonin. They won't sleep as much. It also impacts how they reproduce and how fast they grow from the tadpole stage all the way up through into frogs, and that it stunts the growth of a lot of them. The ones that were, the ones that had dark, all the consistent dark like they need, the 12 hours of it, They were growing better. They were healthier. They were getting more sleep. They were a much higher percentage of them were growing stronger. So there was like a lot of benefits to it, and that they think that we're going to continue to negatively impact them, and that even the frogs that are on the outskirts are still getting exposed to light. They said in some ways even like a big moon can affect them, but
Yeah, don't go to Alaska.
the light pollution that we're really hitting them with is jacking them up. I didn't see one frog in Alaska, come to think of it. That could be because of my next point, but
Yeah, it's true.
it was talking about the cold. So then I was like, well, what does happen to a frog during the winter? And I guess I kind of knew that they hibernate, but I didn't understand. Hibernation's always something that I have trouble understanding, like the complexities of it.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you think of? 1, 2, 3, go, bears.
Bears.
Yeah.
Wild America. Wild America.
Yeah, you think of bears when you think of hibernation. And I know they eat their butt plugs, and then they, they plug themselves up so they're not fecal matter all over themselves. They like to wake up to a clean house.
Right.
Who doesn't? But I
3 months of
was
sleep.
getting into frogs. Now listen to what frogs do. So they go down, they dig down past the frost line. When they get down in there, their blood, their heart and lungs actually come to a complete stop, and they quit breathing. But what happens is their body produces a ton of glucose, and their blood sugar level skyrockets. And what that does is it acts as like antifreeze inside the body. So these, so that they can't freeze, because if the ice crystals formed, it would jack them up and it would kill them. But because of the antifreeze, if you will, with the sugar in the body, they don't get the ice crystals. And then from what they can tell magically in the spring, they'll wake back up, and the lungs will fire back up, and the heart will fire back up as the heat comes. But what can happen is, if we get this in Michigan a lot, we'll get like those 3 days where you're like, it's spring, and you start rolling down your windows, and then winter comes back. That kills off a lot of frogs, because they get coaxed out, and then they get lit up again.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
I didn't know
that's how frogs hibernate. I had no idea.
I thought it was just bears.
Yeah,
Well, now we
all
know.
kinds of stuff. Yeah, well,
La-da-da.
it was interesting. You don't got to do that just because it wasn't your story. So, my next story, since I'm apparently the only one that preps for podcasts anymore.
I had a good story. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Blocked by a paywall.
What was it, a liberal? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, guys. And that's our first. And we just see the viewership just. So, okay. This story, I would like to start by saying I think I disagree with the scientists. So, I'd like to start there.
Okay.
So, there's a pair of orcas terrorizing great white sharks off South Africa's coast since 2017, causing them to flee in masses, according to a study.
Just 2 of them?
Up
2 orcas?
2.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, and for whatever reason, when I saw this article at first at like 2 a.m. yesterday, because I was just woke up and I was like looking at podcast ideas, and I swear, I don't know if it was in a dream or whatever, but when I saw orca, I thought sea lion. I was like, no shit. I was like
Or
Oh my gosh.
it's very scary. I would run too.
Sharks are running for their lives.
When I woke up,
orcas are jerks though.
well, they're just smart.
That's
When I woke up and realized that it was actually killer whales, it took a little bit of the zip out, but it's okay.
Free Willy.
So the study published in African Journal of Marine Science suggests that menacing orcas might have scared great white sharks away from their habitat on Gansbaai Coast, South Africa's Western Cape. A team of researchers from Marine Dynamics and Dyler Island Conservation Trust, so they're getting paid for this. No, I'm just kidding. Noticed that over 5.5 years, 14 sharks have been tracked fleeing the area which the orcas were present, these 2 specific orcas. Visual sightings of great white sharks have also decreased per the study. So using tagging data and long-term sightings, researchers also noticed that great white sharks started washing ashore, dead ones.
Oh.
Now here's the interesting thing. 8 of them from 2017 through 2020 washed up. All of them had their livers eaten out of them. and that the bite marks that killed them were all exactly the same, leading them to believe that it was these 2 specific orcas that were like eating them for their livers, like the white man on a buffalo tongue.
Getting that iron.
Well, as we know, liver is king. No, but liver. Shout out Liver King. But liver is the most nutritious thing in the body, so it makes complete sense that they would do that. Also, it's known that orcas can kill great white sharks. They do it together, and they team up on them, and it's been done. A lot of the science that I've read in the past was that it was like a defensive measure, that it wasn't like their main course was like, let's go get the hardest thing that is to kill that tastes like urine. Like that wasn't the thing.
I like shark.
I like that in my own head. I just had a little. This doesn't happen to him because he just says stuff out loud and doesn't think about it. But I was gonna say,
What's that? What's that?
I was gonna say, how I'm so surprised that orcas can be so great at killing great white sharks because their teeth are like rounded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute. Am I just thinking of cartoons of orcas? I don't know that.
That is true.
They probably don't actually have rounded teeth.
I think they are.
AJ, put up a picture of orca teeth so that when we view this back, we'll know.
I think they are.
I feel like if you Google orca teeth, you're not going to get any good pictures.
You get cartoons.
Some weird, nasty looking.
I think you're wrong because the picture on the
yeah,
screen right
in
now.
Free Willy,
Look at that thing. Wow.
He pets his tongue in Free Willy, so the mouth is open.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
so it exists.
Nobody's seen that movie since 1994.
I like that movie. Actually,
year
you know what
reference, Jeff.
sucks though is he's right, isn't he? What sucks is this whole thing I was gonna end on. So you let the inmates out of the prison. Look what they do. Like a SeaWorld reference, like with Free Willy.
Oh, nice.
It's a dark joke because they're treated pretty terribly, but but it's
likes
fun.
to see 'em
It's a good joke though. So the wounds are distinctively made by the same pair of killer whales, according to the study. The orcas are likely to have killed more sharks that are yet to wash up ashore. The attacks have triggered the sharks, so they're liberal.
Oh my God.
Sorry, the attacks have triggered the sharks' flight instinct, causing a mass migration away from the marine predators, according to the study. Allison Toner, a senior white shark biologist at Dyer Island Conservation Trust, said, "We seem to be witnessing on a large-scale avoidance strategy, mirroring what we used to see by wild dogs in the Serengeti in Tanzania in response to increased lion presence." So the sharks are doing that. I can't imagine that.
Right. You're explaining it, you're reading it, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's all because of the emergence of a new profession, marine forensic dentistry. Well, their teeth are the same bite mark, so we know it's the same.
It would be really ignorant of me just to say no, call it BS on it because we're not there and we don't know. But
Yeah.
if the loss on the sharks is only in the teens, I don't really see it being that big a deal. I mean, how many sharks die a day, you know?
Want to hear something else jacked up? So these orcas, another marine scientist that I'm not going to even attempt to say this name and even where they're from, but they have determined the bite marks because of the unique teeth that we now know about of orcas. They were going in like complete jerks into blue whale mouths and just eating their tongues out and then getting back out. And they're seeing lots of it. So researchers saw large chunks of skin and blubber that were also gouged out of the side of the body of blue whales. They're like, "You're swimming slow enough. I'm just going to eat you while you're going." It's like, "You're still good?" Like, you take a bite. That didn't kill you.
And their fins aren't big enough for them to go.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do? You know?
He's like, "You're eating me." And the orca's like, "See, this is why I didn't tell you. I knew you were gonna react like this." Yeah. So that's kind of nuts. That they're eating the tongues right out of the critters, and then also on the side. But here's the thing: I can't fathom a shark seeing another shark get ate and being like, "Oh God, he's one of me. I better get out of here." I just can't imagine that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What I could see is maybe the orcas. I could see if two of them got into a system where they're like, "This ain't that hard." You know what I mean? That,
Like
we can-
assassins.
we can keep doing this.
That's true.
That they could run off particular great whites. And you could even convince me that maybe if they ran that great white shark off a mile, that he might not come back to that exact mile. But he's not going to go on with his whole shark life worried about that. Especially considering a lot of them migrate anyways.
And aren't they like the top of the food chain? So what are they?
No, they're not. The orcas are killing them. You didn't hear?
Oh.
Top of the food chain means you don't get your tongue ate.
With their tombstone teeth?
Yeah. With it.
You know what I wonder? If the orcas are coming in and eating the whales' tongues, I wonder if they just don't know to stop because the whale is saying stop, but they can't tell because the whale's mumbling because it ain't got a tongue anymore.
Stop.
Stop. Flop. And we'll do that. This is a TikTok.
This is off the coast of Africa.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the other thing.
East or west coast? It's
yeah,
important.
I think.
I said it. I
If you
think I
say
said
they
west.
migrate, kind of
Okay,
just.
that makes sense then.
What?
Yeah.
West side? They're always
The
making.
sharks are really scared of this area.
That's what I don't get it. I
Right.
like when I read it I was like,
Maybe you're too close to your project.
so, or maybe you're getting fun. See, that's the other thing is people don't realize how a lot of this is funded. Like the people that study global warming, and I'm not going to say that the Earth isn't warming up. I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole with that. But what I will say is that there's people that are being paid by groups to find proof that it's happening, and then they find proof. Just like when our parents were kids, and the exact same thing happened because the next ice age was coming, and those scientists were paid to research the next ice age. Mr. Masano told me in class that one of his scariest nightmares he had all the time was as a kid, because this is all they talked about in school. It was like on the news all the time, like the next ice age is coming and we're causing it. Is he always had dreams that he would wake up and his whole window it'd be under ice and he wouldn't be able to get out of his house. That was like his nightmare because that's what they talked about all the time. But it's just, so anytime there's like research done, man, you want to believe it because what else do we got but research?
Yeah.
But I'd want to meet I got the time, but I'd like to meet the scientists and be like, what's your lifestyle like? Why are you funded this way? It's just like that guy that saw that UFO that worked at the place. What was his name?
Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Bob Lazar. And then the people at the organization that he worked for at Area 51 fired him because they were listening in on his phone, and they found out his wife was cheating on him, and he's like, he's not stable enough. We got to get him out of here.
Yep.
And it's like, by the same token, I want to know, like, what's this biologist thing? He's like, man, I got to put this kid through college. I got this and that. My ex-wife is just up my ass all the time. I got to figure out what I'm going to make ends meet, and I just got to.
Yes.
The sharks are terrified. Okay, it's like I'm not saying that's what this is, but you
can't help but not though.
like how research is done.
You could see where that could be a thing. How many researchers do they have out there just checking into the interaction between orcas and sharks in this one area?
Right. And
we don't know what their funding is like.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing's a little weird to me. I just don't see sharks. Like, I could see one shark getting scared out, like, hey, man, these jerks keep chasing me. But even that, they're so reactive.
The whales aren't going to be there the whole time because they migrate too.
So much about sharks are just instinctive, too.
Yeah.
Like,
but at the same time, you could see, like you said, two orcas, they work together. They
got a system going.
Kill one shark, and they're like, hey, man, that was really tasty. You want to go try to find another one of those?
Yeah, that's true. That argument is
I do
the
that
most
with wings.
compelling.
Yeah.
Only the flats.
Yeah. Flats only. When you order wings, you get flats only. It's way better.
You take the upcharge.
You do. Because they're so much easier to eat. I prefer flats.
Really?
Yeah. What about you? You probably love drumsticks, you dirty girl.
Yeah. There's only one bone.
But there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Between the bones to get that little bit of meat in the middle.
I can drop it in and pull out a clean bone.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
And it was.
He's also the guy when we go out and have a good time, go out to the bar or something. He doesn't drink, so he'll get the Virgin Shirley Temple with the cherry, and he'll tie the.
It's so
the
funny
stem
that
in his mouth.
It's so funny that you say that because today when we got ice cream. We went had Beale Street and then got ice cream after at Uncle Ray's, who I got to talk to the owner for 20 minutes today. Shout out Uncle Ray's. What's his name?
Dave.
Good
dude.
Hard to remember name. No, that was his father.
His uncle.
I heard all about father.
Yeah,
I heard all about it. Anyhow, I made the joke. I was like, yeah, I can tie the cherry stem in my mouth and then I'll go like this, and it'll cause like a vibration in it. It sounds like a harmonica.
Oh, like the grass thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that. That's a good one.
Now, in order to get, and I'm going to show this, Jeff, I'll show this to you. AJ saw it earlier, and then we'll put it on the screen for everyone to see. Talking about sharks, and then Ryan's brother, shout out Rich, sent this to me, and this is a Shark Strikes Back video that made my life complete. It's a little messed up, but watch this. Oh.
Bum, bum, Oh no. Oh.
He said, you hear him? He goes, he got my GD pinky.
Wow.
Yep, twisted it right off.
That's like a gator, or like that's what I imagine when we went noodling for catfish. And he's like, when you put your hand in that catfish's mouth, you put it in with like this, with all your fingers together, because if you have anything like this, or if he just gets the thumb and they do that roll and you get a big 80, 90 pounder, that thing will take your finger off, and that's exactly what I pictured.
It's for those of you who didn't get to see it because you're listening to our podcast, you can actually watch our podcast on Carbon TV and YouTube instead of just listening to it. But
maybe go do that.
It was a video of a guy, and he was trying to get, he caught it fishing, a small shark. He was trying to get the hook out, and he reached down, and his hand, at least his pinky, it looked like his pinky and his ring finger got in the mouth of the shark.
He was worried.
Was he going for the gills? What's he going for?
He was trying to
I think the hook maybe, yeah.
With the one hand, and the shark kind of looked like it reached back and got his other hand that he wasn't paying attention to.
Okay.
Yeah. And he got it, and then he did an alligator death roll and just took it right off.
Yeah.
And you saw the blood. There was a lot of blood.
Oh, is he getting it? And you hear the like, oh, we got it.
My favorite thing is the guy goes,
think of that.
I don't like to say the GD words, but he's like, you got my GD pinky. He's like, he just knew it was gone. Yeah. He's just like, there it went. He's like, now he doesn't have a pinky ever
Never
again.
use that thing anyways.
And it was funny. Then Rich said to me, he goes, rule of thumb for me, ironic, because rule of thumb. He goes, rule of thumb for me is I don't put my hand in anything I wouldn't put my penis in. And I said, well, except like cookie jars and stuff, because everyone gets upset. And he goes, nope, that too. So,
Rich is Ryan's brother.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah,
but yeah, I figured a Shark Strikes Back video was worth the hit. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it just makes you think though, because that shark wasn't that big,
No,
and it is like noodling, where you could lose a finger.
Yeah.
And when they go after the limbs, they come off pretty quickly, as I'm told. Yeah. When they go,
it was like
legs
nothing.
One moment of,
dang it,
not even like. It's not like he was doing something like, oh, he was so obviously doing something stupid. He just happened to, while trying to be so careful with the shark with this hand, happened to be lax with this hand for 2 seconds, and there it is.
It is a Shark Strikes Back.
There are like things do that, like if you back up your car into something or everything like that, you're like, no, I just want to do over. No, but it's
not today.
Yeah, you have any good stories like that, Jeff? Where you like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I still have all my fingers.
Yeah, stupid. You can see them, right?
Too many.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments like that. But he has a million. I figured this was a setup for him, but
nope,
he's not gonna go off.
I have no regrets.
Stuff like that happens to me, I just block it out in my head and never think about it again.
It's a good system I got going.
One time I was 5. And we were getting back from
I know
somewhere,
what he's saying. He's such a jerk. This is
Frog
how we
story.
met. He's doing the we met story.
I don't remember where we were coming back from,
Yeah,
but we
he's
get out of the car.
Trash.
My parents are worried about, I'm trying to carry 2 things at once, and I'm 5, and they're worried about getting me in the house. And this schmuck from across the street,
some poor
goes,
kid,
hey,
covered in dirt,
you want to be my friend? And I don't know what compelled me, but I think I felt bad. So I was like, yeah, okay. And that was the whole conversation.
You didn't know, but you were signing in blood.
Worst decision of my life. Oh, my God.
26 years later, here you are. Just
by force.
Yeah. I wouldn't Hey, you said, man, you want to be a man of your word?
You gonna go back on that?
That is how we met. I remember seeing him move in across the street, and I had friends that lived there before you moved out.
Mm-hmm.
God, do I not know their name?
No, because you were 4.
David, maybe?
And Megan?
And there was a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
And the boy was
Laurel's age.
2 or 3 years older than me, I think.
Yep, he was.
Okay.
And Megan?
I have no idea.
We're friends on Facebook. Like if I saw the name, I'd know it.
All right.
But I don't know. Anyhow,
didn't stick with me.
Atsoff is the last name.
Wow.
Oh.
Yep.
And they live at?
Well, they used to live at. So
it's okay, I don't know their first name, so.
So then I was bummed because we always hung out with them when I was a kid. He was 8, and Laurel was 8, and I was 5, and she was 5. So we'd always hang out with them. And then when they moved away, I was like, here comes Four Eyes. And, I didn't
have glasses then.
No, he's running into stuff. And
fly on the window.
Yeah, I saw Jeffrey moving in, and I was like, oh, sweet, someone my age. And I don't know, I must, like, looking back, like, what a weird kid, though, for me to go. I wasn't allowed to go past the sidewalk because my mom was, like, one of those overprotective.
Oh, yeah.
Helicopter
First
mom.
conversation, we shouted from across the street, and that was it.
Yeah, and I go, hey, and I remember being nervous. I was like, hey, will you be my friend? And he, like, looks down at his stuff and looks at me like, guy, I got stuff going on.
I'm busy.
And he goes, yeah, okay. And then he went inside and shut the door, and I didn't see him for 2 other days.
And looking back now, your guys' street is and the space between houses is so little.
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna happen if you cross the street?
We learned shortly after I almost got hit by a car.
Oh,
Yep.
There you go.
He always almost.
that
I
hit
didn't.
my
I
gun.
didn't.
Longfellow
I didn't
or
have the
something?
whole right. Look both ways thing.
Yeah, no
down
smarts.
yet. And I stabbed. Oh, is also the one side of the
Didn't have
street.
to look both ways
the
thing
one
down.
the one side of the street everybody parks their car. So until you get
Past
on
the
the other
car.
side, as a little kid, you can't even see.
The problem was he wasn't looking left both ways. He was looking up and down, and he
Right.
didn't.
Nothing.
I'm good.
Oh, nice shoes. Okay, let's go.
Bro. One time we were playing soccer in his front yard though, and I kicked, and he blocked it from going in the goal, and it went into the street just as the semi was going by, and he went right over. I mean, you couldn't have lined it up better, and it just popped. And we were like, oh, guy got out, felt so bad, gave us $5. Well, it was only $2.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
That's where I learned.
We got ice cream and a new ball, and we were great.
The thing you're taking away from this story is, what kind of ball were they playing with? It was only $2.
It was.
I mean, they were
no,
$2 back then.
No,
Come on.
and it was.
It was one of those.
It could have been a beach ball. It could have been a soccer ball.
right.
Like, yeah,
Those
like
rubber dodgeballs.
like a rubbery, plasticky thing that you could put the air pump in, and you would
Yeah.
hand pump it. It was all colorful, looked like
Yep.
a marble kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in those like metal
like a milky marble.
things at Kmart or Walmart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. The things that when we travel and we're waiting
It's a
on.
small neighborhood for a big truck to be going through.
Yeah.
Delivery.
Yeah. Something.
Furniture
Oh, okay,
or something.
okay.
Suburban
You know.
4 probably.
Right.
Probably not that big of a truck, but when you're 5, you're like,
That's true.
It was enough to pop my ball.
it's
Yeah.
almost hitting the trees. Look how big it is.
Yeah. We don't have any trees there anymore. We mowed them all down.
Really?
Said we got enough air.
There's no shade.
You've been home. You know.
What trees did they take down?
All of them. Nobody has trees in their front yard anymore. We all did.
Oh, you're talking about like the pine tree in my yard that we took down.
You were the only one with a pine tree.
Yeah.
No. The ones by the after the sidewalk before the street.
Oh, they took all those down?
Mhm.
Wow.
The whole street's barren.
Still never see it.
Anyhow,
Lifeless.
so getting back, if you would go check out our new Paddlefish episode, episode 30,
It's a hoot.
Prehistoric Paddlefish. It's a very interesting episode.
Yeah.
High dynamics. It's cool. And Brian Baker of Spoonbill Wreckers, check him out if you're interested in doing that. And if you happen to be going to Oklahoma because you want to do a cool trip like that, tell you what, the perfect place to stay is Riverbend Casino and Hotel. Chief Billy Friend is a great friend of ours, and the Wyandotte Nation is just such a cool place to stay. You're right there. There's all kinds of cool gambling.
Restaurant.
Lots. The restaurant's amazing.
I wonder if that's why they named him that.
Because he's so friendly. That's why they name. That's not how names work. Especially the last names. And then not only do they have the main restaurant for like dinner and stuff, they have a great ribeye, by the way. And I'm a critique person of ribeyes, and they got a good ribeye. But also they have the other like cafeteria food in the morning for
Oh, yeah.
breakfast, and they have a million options there too that you can get breakfast. It's never too busy by the breakfast thing, so you can get that before you go out fishing with Brian. Riverbend Casino and Hotel, and then call Brian Baker of Spoonbill Wreckers. It was so much fun.
A lot of fun.
I mean, it's hard to not want to do it every year. It really is. It's and such a cool fish to get your hands on something that's 110 million years hasn't changed morphologically, and to get to see that up close, something that actually is a filter feeder.
Yeah.
And he'll get him to you.
And
Oh
all
yeah,
of
you'll find fish.
all the details. He's really. I mean, obviously that's what he does, but like he's very smart and like knows his stuff.
He
And
does.
he can just sit there and rattle off little details.
I like the way he says things. It makes me want to like sound cooler.
Yeah.
Like the way Brian's, he's like, there's one part in it where he's like, you're allowed 1 per day and two per year. Mondays and Fridays are catch and release only. So I'm like the way he says it is just, it just flows off, and it's just so cool. He's just a cool dude. I want to go crane hunting with him.
Oh,
He
yeah.
hunts sandhill cranes,
Yeah.
and we got to set that up. So I want to do that too, because the ribeye of the sky would be a cool thing to try. But check out episode 30. It is on Carbon TV. You can stream it for free right now. The Carbon TV app is free, So go check that out. In addition to that, we have launched Carbon TV is our hunting and fishing network that we partner with exclusively in that industry. And then right now on the mainstream television side, you have Clicks TV. So Clicks TV is a new platform, and they're basically right now they're an up and coming brand. But they've partnered with all the best content creators, and they have all this content that's available for you on their platform. And if you think Netflix meets TikTok and you have short form videos, these 3-4 minute videos, they get that content to you right there. But then on top of that, they have the streaming service where you can watch full length movies. So they kind of pick out the best content for you and deliver it to you so you can watch it there. And right now they keep calling me a superhero though, and I don't know if that's a good fit for me, but for the conservation superhero. But they care a lot about the environment, and they care a lot about conservation and our mission, and they're great people. So it's been an honor to launch on Clicks TV. Go there. Both those apps, we wanted to make sure that everyone that wanted to watch our show could watch it for free on these platforms. So if you go to Clicks TV, search The Green Way Outdoors, you'll find it. Go to Carbon TV if you're into the hunting and fishing stuff, and you'll find The Green Way Outdoors there as well. That new episode should be streaming on both. Go check it out. In addition to that, we have our weekly podcast that you're listening to right now. If you are only listening to it, you can watch it on YouTube as well as Carbon TV. You'll find it there as well. We have our online Huntcast series. Go check that out on Carbon TV or our YouTube channel. And then obviously our main TV show. If you go to thegreenwayoutdoors.com, you can actually click how to watch, and you'll see all the platforms we're on there as well, because there's a whole bunch of ways to see us. So thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green.